Good evening once again. I think most of our guests are already here. We are very honored to have you today at our special edition of PR Talk. My name is Miriam. I'm the Director of Communications of Deem Communications, the company who's holding the PR Talks. And today we are honored to hold the very special edition of PR Talk with Kristen Bergman, Vice President of StartUp Hub, Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, and who is here in Armenia due to EDMC USA program. And she will be presenting the PR as a driving force for startups. So this is a very special edition specially designed for startup companies, but I'm more than sure that our PR colleagues will enjoy Kristen's presentation because she's absolutely fabulous. Thank you once again for being here today, and thanks to the Uptown, which itself is a startup run by very passionate youth. They believed in this place and they brought it to life. We hope you will like it too. And this place, we hope, will give the desired ambience we're after. We want this talk to be both informative and fun. So enjoy the talk and enjoy Kristen.
Good evening, everyone. What you may not know, how many of you were at the Build a Business weekend this past weekend for Startup Cup? And how many of you wish you were at the weekend this past weekend for Startup Cup? Yeah. We had a lot of fun, and what some of you may not know is that in my previous life before I became Mrs. Startup Cup, I have had a public relations and marketing company for 25 years. And so that's my other line of business. And so I've set that aside to focus completely on Startup Cup, which is the business model competition. Today we got our 45th Startup Cup. It is going to be in Libya. So we are in 38 countries now. So we're very excited about that. So what we're going to talk about tonight, I'll probably take about 15-20 minutes to actually run through a slide deck. And for those of you who were at the Build a Business weekend, you'll see a similar format. Very much visual, very few words. It's just to really inspire the conversation. So if you have questions, I would ask that you just hold them until we're done. But then we're going to have a conversation about how you use public relations and marketing to drive revenue, to drive customers, to drive everything for your startup. So how many in the room are PR people? Okay. People are pointing at people. And how many are startups? And who else is what? So, people? Just people? Okay. As I said, I'm Kristen Bergman. I've had 25 years of public relations and marketing and advertising experience. I actually got my degree in public relations way back. I'm not going to tell you when. But I really didn't like PR. I liked the excitement of advertising, and so I went into the advertising business for a long time, and then most recently, about 8 years ago, started a PR firm again when we moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma from Silicon Valley. And so it was a complete switch for me, but I really enjoyed it. And so my combination of PR, marketing, and advertising, now with all this startup stuff, I hope that I have some good things to share with you. So let's get started. So if you're a startup, you really want a massive marketing campaign. You want to have, I know all these startups, crazy bike tours, you guys want all the great advertising, you want all the great marketing, but you have no money, right? So what are you going to do? So the thing is, you have limited resources, you have limited time, and you have limited staff. And so what needs to happen for startups is you need to focus. So you can only do a certain amount of things. So we're going to talk about that. So your goal as a startup is to acquire new customers, it's to build your brand, and generate revenue. And in that order. So you need to acquire customers. When you do that and you're building your brand, you're actually generating revenue. And for those who were at the weekend, this past weekend, you know that you can fund your company by building revenue. So, when you build high-value products or services, the money will come. You still need to create your market, but if you have a valuable product or a valuable service that people want to buy, you will make money. So, it's not easy to do. Because if everybody was doing it, I mean, if it was easy, then everyone would be doing it, and then it would be not that difficult, but it is. And so what we're going to do is take a look at the fact that you need to create something that people want, but they might not even know it. And then how do you articulate that to people? So when you think about marketing, advertising, or public relations, you need to be thinking about how you stretch your dollar, how you make what works, and really looking at what we call the low-hanging fruit. So what's really easy for you to do? What's easy as far as generating revenue? So you need to be very purposeful in this. And what that means is that you need to create credibility through your marketing. Can you reach decision makers? Those are the people who buy. And then, can you measure success? And the way we measure success at Startup Cup, and the way we talk about doing research, is you actually go and sell to a customer. Because when you're trying to take money out of someone's wallet, that's the best research you can get. Because they will actually tell you why they will or why they won't buy. Instead of you asking them, so do you think I have a nice pretty product and would you buy it? And they say, well, of course I would buy it. But when you're actually asking them to buy it, you're actually asking them to pay you for what you're offering, that's when you know if you have a good product or not. So the market will really help you define your customer. Because if that customer won't pay for dog walking, maybe that one will. And that's your form of research. So I think it's really important to take a look at when you're a startup that you need to be aggressive. You need to know how much money you can spend, you need to know your limits, but you also need to go out fast, because a lot of you have ideas in this room that you're just starting that maybe someone else has also. And they may be down the street. And if they get out there faster, if they get out there quicker, if they make a bigger splash, guess who gets the business? Same idea. How many times have you ever said, oh, I had that idea. Darn it, they beat me to it. Well, don't let them beat you to it. Get out there quickly, make sure that you are moving fast. Let the market tell you if your marketing is working. You'll find out very quickly. So use trial and error. So try something. So if you have a product or service and you try this, and this didn't really work, try something else. You know, the other thing that we talked about this past weekend was the fact that you want to do things for as little money as you can, instead of asking for a lot of money. And so I think it's really important in your marketing and your public relations work also that you're testing. You're testing along the way. You're looking for the things that are going to work, and then you do more of that. Don't do things, and I actually think this is probably the next slide, don't do the things, don't waste your time on the things that don't give you a return. Spend more of your time on the things that actually work. So, like I said, next slide. Improve what's working. So if social media is working for you, do more of that. Expand your reach with that. If advertising works for you, then do more of that. But don't spend time trying to fix something that's not working. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's a lot of different ways that you can create buzz, and a lot of these don't cost a whole lot of money. And so I think that it's really important that as a startup, you take a look at creating buzz. So word of mouth marketing is people who like your product or service, and they just start telling their friends about it. They say, I absolutely love the Pets Kindergarten. I love H bike deliveries. I love the crazy bike tours. You know, this is really, it's almost called involuntary evangelism because they just love what you do. So if somebody says, I'm trying to go out of town and I need somebody to walk my dog, you know who to go to. You know, this is very good. Evangelist marketing, again, is very similar to that. It's where people are just fanatical about your product. So they just have to talk about it. Blogging. How many of you blog? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what is the best thing about blogging? You can say what you want. You have an audience, and you know they're going to listen. They're going to feedback. You can talk about other things, but you can set yourself up as an expert or as someone really informed in a particular subject matter if you start blogging. So this is another really great, inexpensive, it doesn't cost hardly anything to create a blog site. Referral programs. How many of you have ever joined a spa or a gym and they give you like a discount if you get one of your friends to join? Yeah, that's a referral program. And you can do that in your business. Grassroots marketing is just grassroots from the ground up. So if people really like what you're doing, it's almost a little bit like the word of mouth, but you just keep nurturing that grassroots. Again, doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. Viral marketing is really where it just goes absolutely out of your control. So I think that this is the one that we all like the best, except that referrals are even better because it's coming from you to me, and I believe you. So viral is a little bit less out of control, more out of control. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about public relations strategy, because I think it's really important, especially for startups, because you need to be very, very careful at this stage, because unless you're in business, unless you're creating revenue, you're an idea. And ideas are very dangerous if they're in the hands of the media, if they're promoted incorrectly. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So one of the things you want to do is prepare. You need to prepare your business for receiving media coverage. You're going to prepare your startup to be discovered. You're going to be ready when you're found, and you need to learn how to market and engage the media. And this takes a little bit of time. So how many of you think it's a really, really awesome idea, now that you're an idea, now that you're in the top 25 of the Startup Cup, you're going to go out and you're going to get the media to pay attention to you, and you're going to sell your crazy bike trips and your delivery service and your pet's kindergarten. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
Actually, yeah, well, you probably are. So you're not ready. You're not ready for the media at all. And the reason why is, if I asked you what are the 3 messages that you would give, 3 that you stick with, what would you say? If someone stuck a microphone in your face and said, tell me the 3 things about your business that you want me to know, are you ready?
Yeah.
Right now? No, you're not. So most of you in this room are not ready for that. Someone might be. But it really doesn't always make sense to use PR, and especially doesn't make sense if you're not ready. Because if the media write about you, people may come. And what if you're not ready? So you need to be ready. And that's why we talked on the last slide about preparation. So you need to be ready for PR. You need to share your compelling story. So we talk a lot about so what. So if you tell me my value proposition or my business is this, media is going to say, so what? Why should I care? Why should I write about this? Why should my readers care? Who's interested in what you think is good? So one way to easily check these things out, remember we're trying to do things for less because you're a startup and you don't have an unlimited budget, is leverage your social media channels. And the thing is that these are all relatively inexpensive to do. The thing that you need to remember is context. So again, why do people care? And your content is really about what it is that you're sharing. So is the content of your post or your Facebook page or your Pinterest, is it relevant to the people that are looking at it? So I think that, trying different things, this again is relatively inexpensive. What can you do to try different things to make it work for your business, and then test it? Because again, the market will tell you if it's working or not. So do it. So you just never know who's going to be looking. You never know who's going to be finding you. And so you need to be in a lot of different places as a new startup. You need to be out there. You need to be prepared in order to get orders. If you're not ready, don't go. Please, don't go. But if you're ready and you've prepared, then get out there and do it. And you're going to run like a cheetah. You saw the visual earlier. So, you can do things that are relatively, I don't like the word cheap. We don't use the word cheap in public relations. Inexpensive. But you don't have to have high quality production value, which what that means is if you've got a video that you can post on YouTube that shows how your product or service works, it's 2 minutes, it may not be polished, it may not be really pretty, but get it out there. Make sure that people have the access to see it. So hardware is cheap, tools are free. Facebook, free. All these things that we pointed to earlier are really inexpensive, and so it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Because what used to cost a lot doesn't cost so much anymore. So I'm not going to read this off the list. You guys are all articulate and can read. But one of the things that you really want to do is figure out which, if there are certain reporters or certain people that you really like or that you follow, find out what types of things they're interested in. Because one of the things that you want to do as a startup is provide media partners or certain reporters with information, because they're always looking for stories. So what you don't want to do is always be saying, I do this, I do that, I blah, blah, blah. What you want to be saying is, you may have an interest, I've read many of your articles, and I've noticed that you have an interest in bicycles, bike deliveries, If there's ever an opportunity that you need someone to talk about that, I'd be available. Here's some interesting information about the industry. I just got these statistics. Pass on information. Be a resource for a reporter. Be strategic about this. But don't just send out random things and expect someone to, you're building a relationship. You're building a relationship here. So another thing is follow editorial calendars. If there's a focus on, in a certain publication, on a certain topic that's of interest to you, that you would like to talk to them about, make sure it's, if it's a monthly publication and it's coming out next month, you're already too late. You need to have been on this a couple months before. So be watching the editorial calendars, because you need to make sure that you're following their schedule. It's not their job to follow your schedule. Okay. So, how many of you how many of you think that the referral that we talked about a little bit earlier is probably the best thing that you can get from a customer? You know, referring another friend. So one way that you can, if somebody's happy with your service, ask them to write a testimonial. Ask them to say in writing how much they love your product or service. We get little video vignettes that we take on our phone all the time with happy startup cuppy persons. You know, who doesn't want to see that? And it costs nothing. Again, the tools are available for very, very, very little cost. And it doesn't take a lot of effort or money to put something like that up on the web. And people believe other people. So make sure that your customers are happy. Keep your customers happy. So you need to make life better for your customers. We're always looking out for their best interest. Part of the research is getting their feedback, because you're taking money out of their wallet. So one of the things I'd like to invite you all to do, for those who were in the Extreme Build a Business weekend, you know that we have, at Startup Cup, we offer a lot of tools for free on our website at startupcup.com. This is one, is this even up on the website? It is, okay. So this is one of our newer tools, and it's a communication game plan. And I highly recommend that you download this, because you can actually sit and work with your team on developing what types of messages, what types of tools, what types of research you need to do, and the ever important action component. So what are you going to do to take this communication to the